My daughter was 2 years old. She had a vaccine injury, the MMR, and then the varicella. That right after the last injection is when symptoms really started showing up. So full body eczema, her arms, on her legs, on her stomach, and she had never had any skin issues before. Her bowel movements were not working, and then it just progressed. I mean, she would wake up every hour at night, couldn't go back to sleep, but really within a year of that last vaccine, she had lost 80 to 90% of her hair.
What did doctor say?
They told me that there was nothing they could do for me.
What happened to your son?
He would just scream. I mean, scream uncontrollably, and he's not vaccinated. I wasn't even able to touch his head. I mean, I would put one finger on his head and he would scream. I wasn't able to brush his teeth. He was waking up every 45 minutes at night for a whole entire year, screaming. He would have horrific tantrums or night terrors. He was unconsolable. I would do a torque on his head as he was crying and screaming, but then within 20 seconds, he was done, and his eyes would light up.
Have you ever met in your life a good doctor? Ashley, Merrick is a stress release teacher who specializes in trauma. California born and raised as a mother of two, ages 5 and 3. She has healed herself and her children from serious symptoms. Her 5-year-old daughter, Avery, had a vaccine injury at 2 years old. So Ashley has been healing constipation, eczema, sleep issues, heavy metal, toxicity, parasites, and hair loss. She's lost 80 to 90% of her hair at the age of 3. Her 3-year-old son, Landon, had a neck trauma at birth, which caused extreme head sensitivity. Ashley has been healing his nervous system, extreme emotional outbursts, violence, and sleep issues. Mrs. Merrick has been healing anxiety, depression, panic attacks, hormonal issues, stomach issues, fatigue. Ashley is a wife, a mother of 2, and a woman of God. She's here to share her story. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna just shut my mouth and listen to your story. Please share your story with everyone who's listening and watching this right now.
Yeah, so
If you can just mic a little bit closer to you.
Sure.
Okay, awesome.
So my whole entire life, I had a lot of symptoms ranging from anxiety, depression, constipation. I had a lot of stomach issues, hormonal issues, and it was just all deemed normal. And so I just learned to survive. It wasn't until I was 4 months postpartum with my daughter, my first child, that I got extremely sick. I started having worse stomach issues. I was having skin rashes. I just was feeling awful. And so I started opening my mind to more of a root cause holistic lifestyle. Beforehand, I did not take care of myself. I just had not been educated on that. So it brought me down this path. But what really turned everything was when my daughter was 2 years old. She had a vaccine injury. Right after her vaccine, 3 days later, had eczema that broke out all over her body. And
When she was just born, did you do Hep B?
I didn't do anything until she was 6 months.
Okay.
And then I did my own schedule. So I would do like one, I would wait 2 months, I would do another, I'd wait 2 months. And so we were already on our own schedule. But at 2 years old is the MMR and then the varicella. And so I had agreed to them months apart. But right after the last injection is when symptoms really started showing up. So full body eczema. I could tell like her bowel movements were not working. There was definitely gut disturbances.
Within hours or days after the vaccine?
Days.
Days, okay.
It was probably about 2 or 3 days it was on her arms, on her legs, on her stomach, and she had never had any skin issues before. And then it just progressed. I mean, she would wake up every hour at night, couldn't go back to sleep. She was starving constantly. I could not get enough food into her. It was very odd because we were feeding her solid amount of protein and foods to nourish her, but she just was not holding the food, the nourishment. And so she would wake up at midnight starving. There was just a lot of things that were strange that started happening. But really within a year of that last vaccine, she had lost 80 to 90% of her hair. And
What did doctor say?
they told me that there was nothing they could do for me. They took one look at her and said they were diagnosing her with an autoimmune disorder. And
Did they admit this is from vaccine?
no, I had asked them multiple questions because not only did I didn't know for sure it was the vaccine. I had my own inclinations because I had started questioning vaccines around that time. We also had found out we were living in mold. We had an active leak in our house. And so I was, racking my brain of everything. Is it the mold? Was it the vaccine? What happened? Because something had to have happened. And the doctors were like, no, it's not the mold. It's not the vaccine. It just happens. She'll have to live with it the rest of her life. And I had gone to them 3 times. So after the first visit, they said there was nothing they could do for me. I had connections to order a hair follicle test. Excuse me. So I tested her hair. I got the test results back within about 10 days. And her heavy metal toxicity levels were 3 times what they should have been. Aluminum, mercury, all through the roof. And so I instantly was like, okay, well, this is why she lost her hair. And I knew it wasn't 100% of the vaccine, but I did believe it was a huge contributor to it. So I went back to the pediatrician and I gave him the paperwork that I had. And he was flabbergasted that I even had done a hair follicle test. He had never even heard that being done on a child. I then asked him to do a heavy metal toxicity test through her blood. I wanted to test and have it on record because I was trying to get a vaccine exemption. He had never ran a test like that before. He had been in practice probably anywhere from 10 to 20 years, and he had never ran a full heavy metal toxicity panel.
That's in Diego, right?
Correct. They only test children at 2 years old for I can't even think of it right now. They only do one heavy metal test. I'll think of it in a minute. And so he ran the test. All of her blood work came back that the heavy metals were 3 times the levels. Aluminum, mercury, all of that. He ended up calling me on the phone and pretty much tried to silence me. He told me that he sat down with his toxicologist and the toxicologist was not worried about her levels, that heavy metals go high, they go low, that it wasn't a concern. And then he told me that a hair follicle test should never be run on anybody unless they're a drug addict or they're dead. And
Why?
exactly.
I can do whatever I want with my kid, right?
Well,
I
I was
mean,
like,
running tests, blood
exactly.
work, hair tests.
I was just trying to find the root cause. I was doing anything I could to find out why my 3-year-old daughter had lost her hair. And so it was pretty eye-opening at that point, being in the office and being not believed and just pushed to the side and even told I was crazy, and then being called on the phone and being told that, again, what are you doing? She's fine. There's nothing wrong with her.
Gaslighting.
Exactly. And so that's when I pretty much decided I had to go find another way. And so
Have you ever thought of finding another doctor just to hear another opinion?
I did, not a pediatrician. I went more of a holistic route. So we see Dr. Stanholm at Future Generations. That's been he's our family chiropractor, but also a root cause minded practitioner. So we went to him. We also see Dr. Calvin, who works for Cone Institute up in Costa Mesa, who's also a chiropractor, but studies more kinesiology and is definitely a root cause mindset. I also found a community called Human Garage. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
So they have a huge platform all over social media, and basically what they teach is about fascia. Have you ever heard of fascia before? So
All muscles in this bag.
Yeah, so pretty much it is like another organ inside of our body, underneath our skin, and it's intertwined in between our bones, our muscles, our lymphatic system. And so, what we've learned, even through my practice, is when you open up the fascia, stretch it, it releases toxins and it also releases trauma and memory. We have found that fascia holds memory, it holds trauma, it holds hydration, and it holds toxins. And so when I found this community, I happened to go on a live on Instagram with the founder, and I, was crying. I just had left my pediatrician's office the day before. I didn't know where to go, and I told him this is what the situation is. And he went, "No problem. That's no big deal. This is all you have to do." And he told me to work her stomach. So start opening up the ileocecal valve, which is on the right side of your belly button. Start stretching it because that's where heavy metals get stuck in there. That's where autoimmune disease starts. So I
By
immediately
massaging?
massaging, stretching, torquing. Everything's pretty much with fascias. You want to torque it. You want to put pressure, torque it, stretch it, expand it.
Hmm.
And he told me about hydration on a cellular level instead of just water, adding in minerals to her diet. So they suggested diatomaceous earth, which is very high in silica. Silica is what our body needs to hold any type of mineral, and we're all lacking it.
Hmm.
Then Irish sea moss. So I did that. I started working her belly. I started giving her the hydration, and within 2 weeks, her hair started growing back. And after that, I was sold. So I myself started joining the Human Garage community, and I did most of their programs, and found out that part of my daughter's healing journey was going to be my healing journey as well. Um, and so that's how it.
After how many months or years did you do another blood work or hair work just to see whether heavy metals are gone from her system?
I never did another test on her. I could tell that things were leaving her body due to, one, her hair growing back, her constipation went away, her eczema went away. She had small little gray spots on the whites of her eyes, which was a sign of heavy metal toxicity. All of those disappeared. She started sleeping at night. Um,
After what time? A week
so
or
it,
two?
it so after 2 weeks, her hair started growing back, but it really took, I would say, a good year to get her body into more of a solid foundation. We were seeing Dr. Calvin, who works up at Cone Institute, and he really helped me put myself and the kids on a regimen to not only detox on a heavier level the heavy metals, but also parasites, because parasites were also a major factor in what was going on with her. Parasites pretty much eat the heavy metals, the infections. They like feed off of that stuff. So it's an accumulation of stagnation, so to speak. So when I started detoxing her, I mean, I was literally pulling parasites out of her. That's how
Stool?
crazy it was. Yeah. She was still wearing a diaper at the time, so I could see. And there were times that one would be hanging out and I would have to pull it out of her, that she was infested because I was infested. I had no idea that I was infested. So when I was pregnant, I transferred a lot to her. Basically, I found out that I had never detoxed my whole entire life. I had never heard about it. And so when I
Never heard about it.
exactly, most people don't.
Hmm.
That's the crazy thing. And most people's symptoms that they're experiencing are due to heavy metal toxicity, parasites, or just all around environmental toxins. And so um I realized that I had transferred a lot to her in the womb. And then on top of it, the vaccines, I had been giving her some formula that I found out later was extremely high in heavy metals. And so it was an accumulation of that along with parasite overgrowth. And so when I started detoxing her, we completely changed our diet. We went all organic. I got rid of all processed food. We stopped eating out, and she completely changed. Completely. She was a new child.
How do you get parasites? From pets? Do you have pets?
We did not at the time. You literally can get parasites anywhere. You can get them airborne, you can get them standing on the grass, you can get them in food. We all have parasites. There's a degree that we need it. But when our foundation is not healthy, so when I think of a strong foundation, I think of eating habits, stress levels, and hydration. Those are the three core things that I have found that have worked for a foundation of health. When you have those three things, then your body is not overgrowing with either infections or parasite. Because when you have the processed foods and you have the trapped emotions, it's just a feeding ground for the bugs. And so when we changed our diet, we got rid of, and again, this took me years to really make all of the changes because there was so many that I had to make. We removed most of the environmental toxins as much as we could into our home.
Like what?
So laundry soap, dish soap, shampoo, putting bath filters on the water, Clorox wipes. I don't use those anymore. What I clean my floor with, the candles, the air fresheners,
Cologne.
perfume. Yeah, I changed my perfume. I changed my body lotion. I changed, the dish soap, the dishwasher soap, the laundry soap, everything that would touch her skin or touch our skin or that we were inhaling, I changed. I got air filters throughout the house. And it changed our entire family just by changing our diet, removing the toxins, releasing the stress daily, and adding in cellular hydration.
How to find out whether you have parasites or not? Do a stool sample?
No, I mean, a stool sample could tell you. Honestly, I would just assume that you have them. If you've
Just
never
start detoxing?
detoxed, yes.
How does it look like, the detox?
So you can do it very light, which I suggest. Diatomaceous earth, which I recommend everybody to take. One, it will help hydrate you on a cellular level, but it is also a phenomenal detoxifier.
How is it called?
So diatomaceous, it's Diatomaceous. I'm not sure.
Salt, right?
Diatomaceous earth, and then
Earth.
put in food grade.
Okay.
There's two kinds. That's a really light detoxifier, and so that will start purging the heavy metals, the parasites. When I was detoxing her to begin, I was only giving her diatomaceous earth, and she was having loads of parasites come out. We put it in their bath. I sprinkle it on our dinner. I sprinkle it in water. You can literally put it in anything, and our whole family takes it, even my dogs. We have dogs now, and I give it to them as well.
All the time?
All the time.
All year round?
All year round.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's great to add in the silica. Our bodies need silica to hold any type of mineralization, and we're all depleted in silica due to the constant toxins that are being thrown at us, either the air, the water, the food. And so when you do that, I mean, your skin gets better, your hair gets better, your nails get better. My stomach started feeling better. Again, I dealt with chronic stomach pain my entire life.
From childhood?
From childhood.
You were always eating out, or you were always eating processed food at home when you were a little kid?
Both. And I had a really traumatic childhood, and so it was not only the stress and the trauma that I was holding on to, it was, the processed food, or I dealt with not eating for a long time, so not nourishing my body. I was definitely malnourished as a child, and so a combination of all of that absolutely played a role.
What happened to your son?
So my kids are 22 months apart. Same thing when he was born. I had not detoxed. I had not been aware of that. So whatever was left had been transferred to him.
Also, you delivered your second child while your daughter was sick at the same time.
So my son was 1 year old when my daughter was 3 when her hair fell out. So she was 2 when he was born. So things started happening, but I had already given birth to him.
Mhm.
And so when she was 3, he was 1, and that's when everything I had made drastic changes in our house and environment. My son had a neck trauma at birth. I didn't know until later, but his symptoms really started showing up around 10 months, almost a year.
Bridge delivery?
Natural.
Natural.
Yeah, it was what happened was I had asked for an epidural when I got to the hospital. I was already 7 centimeters, and so I was sitting while they were trying to get it in my back, and I was crowning. I shouldn't have even asked for it, but when you're in that moment, you're like, anything to help. And I was crowning while he was still trying to get the epidural in. He never was able to get it in, so I ended up delivering naturally. But when I was sitting and crowning, his head was hitting, um, which I didn't realize until later. And I started piecing together because when I gave birth, I was on all fours. So I was like, what happened? But around 9 or 10 months, I mean, he would just scream. I mean, scream uncontrollably, and he's not vaccinated. I never gave him any injections. And so I knew it wasn't that, but I wasn't even able to touch his head. I mean, I would put one finger on his head and he would scream. I wasn't able to brush his teeth.
Oh, wow.
He was waking up every 45 minutes at night for a whole entire year, screaming, screaming. He would have horrific tantrums or night terrors, or he would he was unconsolable. And I again, thankfully had already found Human Garage and found out that I could relieve the tension in his head.
But you didn't go to the regular doctor, right?
We were still getting chiropractic care, but I wasn't seeing any changes. I wasn't, and they were telling me because they had done tests on him that his nervous system was in fight or flight, which I could tell. It was very obvious. He was walking on his tippy toes. He was just constantly fired up, and he was so little that I knew his nervous system was obviously dysregulated. And so I just started doing fascia work on him. I really started digging in and working his head. And at first, he would scream, he would cry, he would, fight me. But I would do a torque on his head as he was crying and screaming. But then within 20 seconds, he was done, and his eyes would light up.
What exactly did to work?
Yeah. So the way fascia works is you want to
There's fascia in here as well?
There's fascia in your cheek. It's literally everywhere, in your eyes, in your head, in your ears. So we hold so much tension as humans in our ears and in our head, in our jaw.
Mhm.
And so what I did a lot of times is, so right hand facing backwards, left hand facing forward. You can do it opposite way too, but you squeeze your head and you torque so that your hands are meeting on top. So it's bringing a torquing sensation throughout there. And then you wait about 3 to 6 breaths and it releases the fascia. I started pulling and tugging on his ears super hard. And again, it doesn't feel good. It's quite painful, especially when you're dealing with so much stagnation. But I would do this when he was in the middle of these extreme tantrums that were lasting 20 minutes or so. And I would just start working his body. And I mean, my husband wasn't even a believer until he saw that within 30 to 60 seconds after I did work on him, the screaming stopped, his eyes changed, he was completely shifted. So I realized he was just having an insane amount of tension and stagnation that needed to be released, which then would releasing the emotional outbursts that he was having.
Have you ever told this to your pediatric?
I never went back.
Like never?
No.
What do you think they would tell you?
That I was crazy.
But you solved the problem. You healed him.
Yeah.
His screaming stopped. They will never admit that? They will never practice something like this?
His pediatrician?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. Not from what I experienced. There was no room for a conversation. I had started bringing up questions such as even toxins like glyphosate and things like that. My pediatrician had never even heard of glyphosate. I had been I had
You
basically
mean the word? He
he
didn't
had
know what
never
it
heard of
is?
it. And again, he had been in practice for a minimum of 10 years. But no, the amount of control and gaslighting that went on in that office, um, I honestly was scared to go back. And at that point, I just didn't have the energy. I had so much energy that I had been putting into finding what was going on with my kids and myself because I was through all of it, I was experiencing severe issues and I was sick. I did not feel great. And then on top of it, my husband's out of the home working, 60 to 70% out of the time. So a good chunk of it, I'm a single mom. And I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to have that conversation. Now, the position that I'm in years later, I would, but at the same time,
Have you ever met in your life a good doctor?
you mean in the medical field?
Yes.
Um,
So this boss tells all. Like,
yeah,
how? How is it possible?
I
Where are
think,
all the good doctors?
yeah. I think the education for doctors is not what we thought it was. I think the education for doctors is really pharmaceutical driven. And I think that the majority of doctors nowadays really don't understand how the body works. And most of them have such a high ego that they're not even willing to have a conversation with you because you're just a mother. You're just someone who didn't go to school like I did. That's really how it's crazy, but that's really how I was treated. And so, yeah.
Okay, please continue. So you started tweaking his head, his ears,
Yeah.
massaging the fascia. What's next?
Yeah, so I mean, I do the full body, but I really focused on his head because he was having so many issues. And he has grown and is thriving. We still struggle with some symptoms because I believe his nervous system goes in and out of fight or flight extremely easily. So we're constant. I mean, I do fascia work on them every single day. I do fascia work on myself every single day.
How long does it last? 10, 15, 20 minutes a day?
To do the work.
Yeah.
On the kids, it takes me anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. On myself, depending how much time I have, 2 to 40 minutes. Some days I'm literally at the park just doing it as my kids are playing, and some days my husband's home and I can go upstairs and do a whole 40-minute session. But you don't need much time just to really, especially when you learn the areas that you're holding most of your stress, you can easily do a quick little, they call them fascia maneuvers, and release that stress and you'll instantly feel so much better.
Where can people learn this?
So Human Garage, they're on all social media platforms. They have a phenomenal program that you can join. It's called the 28-day reset. And they teach you the foundation of health. They literally teach you how to hydrate your body on a cellular level. They teach you how to remove the environmental toxins. And they teach you how to open up the stagnation within your fascia. And the programs that they have provided, I could not recommend them enough to every single person. They've completely changed my life.
So hydration on a cellular level. So the more we drink, the more we flush out the minerals, right? That's why we don't have to drink tap water or even filtered water. We have to drink mineral water. Let's say Mountain Valley, San Pellegrino, right? The water that has minerals.
Correct.
So you have to replenish those minerals, especially if you're a coffee guy, coffee gal, tea. You love tea, you flush with caffeine, you flush out all the minerals, right? But what does it mean to hydrate on a cellular level?
So replenishing with the minerals. So it's more than just even drinking the water that has minerals. So for instance, we take Irish sea moss every single day. Irish sea
It's a
moss,
powder?
it is pretty much a seaweed. You can get it either in capsules, you can get it as a gel. We love the company Survival Moss. They have a freeze dried Irish sea moss, so there's zero taste, and you can literally put it on everything. But the great thing about Irish sea moss is it has 92 out of the 102 minerals that you need daily to stay hydrated. So that has been a game changer for me personally, just because it's so incredible for hormonal issues for women. It's incredible for men hormonal issues. Um,
Even libido wise for men.
well, even just stress, even just, again, if you're not hydrated on a cellular level, you're going to have more tension. You're going to have more stagnation. You're going to have more when things aren't flowing. Um, I, I, I've noticed it with my husband because he has a very high stressful job. And so when things are trapped, I think of it's most likely stress and water or blood flow or oxygen's not flowing.
Mhm.
So when things aren't flowing, so when you add the minerals, it mineralizes, it opens, it allows things to flow. And then when you're doing the stretches, you're unlocking all that's trapped in there. And so then it's just releasing from there. Our bodies were meant to detox on their own. We're not meant to constantly be detoxing and constantly be doing all these things. Our bodies are so incredibly powerful and they're meant to be doing it on their own. But due to our environments and due to our stressful lives, most of us aren't flowing properly. And so these things have made drastic changes.
What about electrolytes? People that drink electrolytes after workout, pre-workout.
Sure, those are great too.
But those are only 4, right? Minerals out of 102, as you said.
Yeah, so electrolytes are great, but a lot of them, yeah, a lot of them have more toxins in them than you realize. It really depends on where you're getting your electrolytes, and yes, there isn't going to be as many of the minerals that you need to sustain yourself.
What about fulvic acid?
Um, I don't know much about fulvic acid.
So, what do you do for your kids? Let's say, what do they drink right now? Tap water, water. You said you use this Irish sea moss. What else? Do they drink like juice, something, milk?
Yeah, so we drink raw milk in the house. They love raw milk. I allow them to have juice, but it has to be organic and it is minimal sugar. Um, and honestly, they just drink water. I really limit what they intake. But I add all the minerals into their food. So diatomaceous earth, if I'm making a pot of spaghetti, I sprinkle it in there. I sprinkle all the Irish sea moss in there. If I'm making mac and cheese for them, same thing, put it in. Um, and even that I've noticed that so when you're hydrated on a cellular level, you actually don't even need as much water as we're told. I used to have this obsession with water where I couldn't get enough. I was constantly thirsty. I was constantly peeing. I wouldn't go to bed without water next to me because I just would wake up and I was so thirsty. And as soon as my body started hydrating on a cellular level, I stopped craving the water. I still drink it, but I don't crave it like I used to. I don't need it. I don't pee all the time like I used to. And everything is still hydrated, the color and all of that. But it's same with my kids. They don't need fluids as much as they used to now that they're hydrated on a cellular level.
Do you see pediatricians
No,
at all?
no. We haven't been in about a year and a half. That was
But
the
you
last
you
time.
have to, right? As a parent.
No, you don't. I mean, we are not going to I homeschool. My daughter just is now in kindergarten. So I homeschool her and she goes to a nature school and they do not require you to have a lot of places require you to have like a pediatrician sign off saying that they're healthy, they've been checked, all of those things. The nature school doesn't require that, but we have practitioners that check them regularly to make sure that they're healthy and flowing properly. But honestly, I've become their doctor. I have done so much research on how to heal the body from all symptoms, especially after COVID happened. I didn't want to be that parent that was desperate, who, my kid is so sick that all I can do is rush to the emergency room. If I had to, I absolutely would take my child, but I didn't want to be stuck. So I made our whole medicine cabinet, my sanctuary of, if you have this symptom, this is the, remedy I have. If you have this symptom, this is the remedy you have. And I've been able to, thankfully, not have to take my kids. My kids have never had ear infections. They've never had sinus infections. They've never had pneumonia. They've never been on antibiotics. They've
And you've learned all this from Human Garage?
Most of it, yes, but the rest I've learned through seeing Dr. Calvin, who works at Cone Institute, and,
He's a doctor, but not MD, right? Or he's MD?
he's a chiropractor who has done a ton of other courses. So he's also a kinesiologist. He's I would call him a root cause practitioner. So he's extremely skilled on how the body works, and he's helped educate me a ton through us seeing him. We've seen him for a couple years now. And books. I read a ton of books on things from 50 years ago of what our grandparents used to do. When you're sick, put an onion on the foot. Or if you have a fever, get cold socks and put them on your feet. Allow the fever to go through. Don't just shove them with
Cold
Tylenol.
socks?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say your 5-year-old has a fever, 100 degrees, 102 degrees. So what do you do?
So I would first off put them in a bath, lukewarm, add diatomaceous earth, certain essential oils depending on what I have in stock. And I would, what would I do? I would add into their waters as much minerals as I could. And cold socks. So you wet socks, you put them in the freezer, let them get extra cold. You put them on their feet, and then you put another dry, like wool sock over it, so that it's almost bringing the cold, it's bringing your feet cold, but then it's somehow allowing the fever to work its course, but it doesn't allow the body to go over it doesn't allow the fever to
Climb?
exceed. Yes, climb.
Okay.
Thank you. It's like, what word am I thinking of? Because yeah, we've been in situations where it's been frightening, their fever's getting pretty high. What do we do? And I'm not against giving them medication. Absolutely. In certain moments, we have given either Tylenol or ibuprofen. I just really try to limit that.
Okay, what about the onions on her?
So
on
the
feet?
cough, yes. So if your child is experiencing a really bad cough or pneumonia, bronchitis, really congestion in the nose, cut a white onion, sliver of it, put it on the bottom of their feet, put a sock over, and you will notice a significant decrease in the mucus by the next
It actually
morning.
works.
Yeah. And also Irish sea moss. Irish sea moss is incredible for breaking up mucus. So just with Irish sea moss, I have literally gotten rid of infections, deep coughs, sinus stuff. I've been able to cure it just with Irish
Okay,
sea
interesting.
moss.
What else? So let's say if kids are sick, any other tips or what you do exactly?
So I think being out in nature is really huge. Grounding, being in the sun, limiting, the screens. I think giving them high nourishing food. So if you eat meat, I really recommend, high protein beef. If you're able to put beef organs in, we use a powder from a company called Hard to Kill, and that you can barely taste the beef organs. And so that is extremely great to have into your pocket, limiting sugar. So no yogurts, no juice, no ice cream, no candies while they're sick. And really just focusing on the hydration. So I also have what's called Quinton minerals, Quinton. They're sea minerals. I have those on hand. They're easy just to throw in some water. So if they're really struggling, then I'm just flooding them with hydration. And fascia maneuvers, opening up the areas that are stuck. So if they have a cough, I'm working their chest, the back of their chest. I'm elongating their legs, their arms to get everything flowing. I'm opening up their head. I'm opening up their mouth. I'm opening up everything so that whatever needs to be worked out is not only being given tons of hydration, but then I'm opening the body so that things can start flowing.
So since I'm originally from Lithuania, right, it's north and northeast Europe. So I have never had any problems with the sun because it's very north, so we don't have the high UV. But since we lived in Spain prior to moving to California for 2 years, then we start noticing that the UV is very high, especially in summer. Once we moved to California, we always check on the UV, and we don't go outside, let's say from 11 to, let's say, 3 to 4. But we don't do that. That's because we don't use sunscreens at all. Do you use one?
No.
Have you ever have you ever found any good ones that you can use?
We use because there's a rare occasion that I do put it on them. We use doTERRA. doTERRA is an essential oil company, and they have a phenomenal sunscreen line that I have.
And you go outside almost every day just to see the sun.
Mm-hmm. We're outside every single day playing. We're at the beach every week. My daughter goes to a nature school 3 times a week, so she's in the sun 3 times a week. I'm not afraid of the sun. The sun to me has been so healing. What I have found and what a lot of people have found is that it's not the sun that is causing the harm, it's the toxin overload inside of your body that is causing the burn. So if you're filled with heavy metals, for instance, it's laying just in your skin, right? It's attached to your fascia, it's attached to all of that. So then you get the sun, the UV rays, and it's literally burning the heavy metals, which is then burning your skin. So when you start detoxing and you start getting rid of these environmental toxins, I have noticed a significant difference in how my body and skin reacts to the sun.
Okay, so you live in California, obviously. I want to say up to 300 sunny days a year. You can almost every year round, go outside, play,
Yeah.
and see the sun. What about, let's say, you could have lived in Washington State, New York, Minnesota? What would you do then? Because you can't ground, let's say, since October till April, May.
Yeah.
It's too cold.
Well, I still believe that you can ground even if the sun is not out. So just getting fresh air and getting outside, I think, is extremely beneficial. I mean, I'm a huge promoter in red light therapy. I would have that in my house, using that frequently. I would limit the screens, limit the phone, and really focus on just making it a mental daily practice, even if it is indoors, to ground yourself either through meditation, through fascia work, um, things like that that will help uplift the spirit.
And red light is the light that we see when the sun sets and rises, right? Let's say 30 minutes prior to both those.
So I believe so, but they have actual product, the red light like panel that
Mhm.
you can get. Um,
Some of them are extremely expensive.
so I use the company Therasage, and they are very reasonably priced. They have like a panel that you can get, that's like $200, and so we use that company.
You just turn it on and what, sit under this lamp?
Yeah, turn it on, put it on your face, put it on your belly. I use their sauna, so they have the red light inside of the sauna,
Mhm.
and I'll use that. But yeah, for my kids, I just plug it in, and wherever I feel that they need it, I just put it on them.
You said you've changed everything that you, let's say, wash your dishes or clean your house. How did you find the alternatives?
Well, thankfully, there's a lot of other moms that are on this path of removing environmental toxins. So there's a few moms on social media that I followed that gave some great recommendations. But honestly, just through my own research, through my own companies that I had heard of already. So like doTERRA, I've used them for years. They're a great company who tests all of their products. And yeah, another mom that I follow, I mentioned they created their own company called Hard to Kill, and they have incredible protein. They have the organ powder that I
Mhm.
told you about. They have drinks that are great with electrolytes and different types of um, herbs and stuff like that. But yeah, thankfully, there's become such a great community of people, I feel, especially since COVID, where people want to heal themselves. They didn't want to have to rely on their pediatrician or rely on the government. And so they really started finding these sources on their own.
And you can find some of those products on Amazon too,
You can, some of them. Most of, like, the small companies, like Hard to Kill, you only can order from their
because
site.
they can't afford it.
Because what?
Because going to Amazon is expensive.
Yeah, and Amazon, I use Amazon for sure, but it can be tricky. I definitely have to be careful with the supplements that you buy on there, depending on where they come from or if it is a reliable source. I have heard some horror stories of that.
Like what?
So, people um, messing with the supplements, putting things in them that maybe the manufacturer didn't do, or you can buy products on Amazon from so many different companies, and
Let's say protein powder will have flour in it.
yeah, or putting in extra heavy metals, or
For what
putting in,
reason? Nefarious people?
well, I mean, the more toxins and the more overloaded you are with toxins, you're going to be sick. I mean, it causes havoc on the system. So when you're not well, when you're overloaded and bombarded with not only toxins and then you add stress into that, you're not thinking properly. You're not emotionally regulated. Um you're clogged. And so I think that there is really a huge push out there um to hurt people so that they are not in tune with their power, so that they're not in tune and making rational decisions. I mean, when you see out what is going on in society, the majority of the people are not well. And it's for multiple reasons. It's not one thing. But if you're adding in being poisoned, most people are not feeling well. You're feeling sick. And then you add in the daily stresses and you start seeing, I feel, a lot of erratic behavior, even for myself. I mean, I was overloaded with toxins. I was overloaded with emotional trauma and emotional stress that I had no idea how to handle. And I was mentally not well. I was dealing with anxiety and depression and panic attacks. I was on antidepressants for 5+ years. I was on medications to help with my stomach. I was having emotional outbursts because I was not in control. I had no release. I was just always on edge. And so then when you're constantly on edge and you're constantly not feeling well, what does that cause? You don't have patience for your neighbor. You don't have compassion for people because you are not well. So I'm not saying that people are just um, all mixing with the supplements on Amazon, but I
Yes.
think you do have to be careful because there is a lot of corruption out there. And so you just have to really watch where you're getting your
Uh,
sources.
so we've traveled in the US. We've been to Arizona. We've been to Nevada, Utah. We've traveled across California, but we live in California for 2.5 years right now. So 30 plus years I've lived in Europe, in my home country, Lithuania. Then we traveled, let's say we've been to Netherlands and Germany and France and Italy and Spain. We lived in Spain for 2 years. I haven't ever seen so many crazy people in Europe like here.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
I mean, I think the underlying is really people are stressed, overly stressed. You have, extremely everything's so expensive, right? And so most people can't afford just a one income household. So now you're having two parents that have to work. And then
Even that is not enough.
even that's not enough, exactly. So you have the financial burden, right? And then you have throw on adding kids, which is a beautiful experience, but it's also extremely stressful and, brings up a lot of stuff. And so then you have, if you're not feeling well, and then you have the toxin overload, and then you have the media and the social media. And I think people are, what I have found is through the workshops that I've been doing, is people are carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders to such an unimaginable level, and they have no idea what to do about it. They have no idea how to release the trauma that they had as children. Most people that I come into contact with have experienced some type of trauma as a child, and that can vary depending on, your situation, but most people have experienced something severe, and we're not taught how to release it. We're not taught how to talk about it. And so most of us just stuff it down, don't talk about it, ignore it. Well, that doesn't just go away, that just gets stored in your body. So then you add 10, 15 years, you're stressed at your job, you're stressed at home with the kids, you're stressed because you can't afford to feed your children, or all the things. And then you just have chaos. You have people who are hurting and they hurt other people. I think that is one of the biggest things that's going on in the world, especially in California. I mean, it's so outrageous to live here, so that alone is just such a heavy burden.
So you said you were prescribed antidepressants. You just went to your doctor and said, I have a problem, I can't cope with my thoughts, or what?
Yeah, I went to a psychiatrist and I told him that
How old were you at the moment?
I was probably 23.
Mhm.
I knew I wanted to get on medication because I didn't know what else to do. I was so low in my life. I was definitely suicidal and um
Not married at that time?
not married, hadn't met my husband yet. I was, in my 20s, the way that I coped was through addiction. So I was drinking a lot, I was partying a lot. That's how I was raised. My dad was a really big addict. And so I went along that path. And so obviously that was going to contribute to the anxiety and the depression, but I didn't know that at the time. And so I found a psychiatrist, met him one time, told him that I didn't feel well and I had anxiety and depression. I think the meeting was 45 minutes long, and he wrote me a prescription for Lexapro, and I went on my way. And I was on that for about 5+ years until I had met my husband, and he was like, you need to get off of this. This is not healthy.
Did it help at that time? Antidepressants.
To go on the medication, it did. It did for a while. I was at such a low point, and so
Did you increase the dosage?
I did not. No, I stayed with what was
For the
good.
5 years, the same dosage every day?
Yeah.
And it helped.
It helped. For a while, it did. I don't think it was something that was going to help long term.
But you became numb?
I became numb
To what? To emotions?
to emotions. My husband now says that it was the spark that I had, the little fire that was in me was gone. I think I was just a
But
robot.
he met you when you were on your
He
meds.
met me when I was on the meds, and then when I got off of them, there was a huge shift.
Why did you decide to cut it off?
Because I had lost my medical insurance, and I no longer could afford the medication, and I also at that time was addicted to opiates, and I just decided I was going cold turkey off of everything. So I went cold turkey off of my antidepressants, off of all substances at the time that I was using.
Pills or drugs?
Both.
Oh, wow. 23 years old. Oh, so since from 23 to 28.
I mean, I started drinking pretty heavily around 18. Drugs probably started around 21, 22, and that continued until I was about 28. I got clean at 28, cold turkey.
Heavy drugs?
Heavy drugs.
How did you get introduced to them? Friends?
I mean, my dad was a really big addict. He was into meth and cocaine and things like that. So I had the eye for who was going to be in that arena, and the people I associated with. When you're out at the bars drinking every weekend and partying, and it's not hard to find when you are already set up to have an eye for that type of environment. And I found friends who had easy access to it. And so
How many years ago that was? Like a decade ago?
yeah, so I'm 39. I'll be 40 in May. So yeah, it's been about 10 years.
So would you say, like, obviously you don't know what's the situation right now, but 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you started this journey with drugs and opioids and alcohol, how many would you say of youngsters, percentage-wise, did the same stuff as you did?
Huge.
More than half?
Huge. Yeah. I mean, the environment I was in, everyone was doing it. So
Nightclubs, nightlife?
nightclubs, nightlife, the bars, yeah.
What about your mom? What did she say? Did she know that you were an addict?
She had suspicions. My mom,
You lived on your own back then?
partly, I had moved home quite a bit because I couldn't afford, once my addiction got bad, I couldn't afford to live on my own. So I went back home for a while. It was complicated. My relationship with my mom and stepdad is complicated. They are trying to see how much I want to get into. They're extremely religious, and they are very devout into their religion that I think I slipped through the cracks a lot. I think there was more of a um, commitment to others rather than what was going on in the home. I had my mom had met my dad at a very young age, so they were about 23 when they met, and they got divorced a year later. So she had remarried and then found a religion that is
Christianity or some kind of a Mormonism, Jehovah's?
Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah Witness? Okay.
hmm And so I think that was an easy escape rather than to really look at what was going on with me, because there was signs at a very early age that things were going on. Um, and so she, at the time, did the best she could to help me, but I just lied to her, and
Believe you?
I don't think she did, but she wasn't gonna. She's one of those people to push things under the rug and not to really ask the questions and to really, like, she knew. Looking back, she knew, but she didn't have the strength at the time, I think, to either stand up to me or even to help me because she couldn't even help herself. So,
She was a drug addict as well?
no, but I mean, I think she was drinking probably a bottle of wine every night and um, very distracted with the organization. And so uh, it was just,
You
she's numbed out. And then
you were the only child?
I was the only child with my mom and my dad when she got remarried. Um, they had my sister when I was 4, and then they had my brother when I was 13.
So you want to tell me that their quote unquote religion took a lot of her time every day to do something? Because, for instance, I'm a Christian, right? I believe in Jesus Christ. It takes me nothing. I don't even go to church. I just read the Bible and I just pray every day and try to be as the best person I can ever be.
Yeah.
But I don't have to do anything, I want to say. I don't have to go and serve and help, donate.
Yeah.
And that's not the thing that she was doing, right?
No, that organization is extremely, they want you involved. So at the time, I think they've changed things now. But at the time, it was going to church 3 days a week, 2 hours minimum. On the weekends, you go door to door and are preaching to people. So that's 4 days. And then they encourage you strongly to have your own Bible study at home with the family. So that's 5 days. And so it leaves you maybe 2 days of not really doing much. But again, my family was very extreme when it came to the religion. So it was, everything was about that. And they also were pretty high up in the organization. So they had a lot of responsibilities.
How are they now? Are they good?
And they're still extremely involved, very, very devout.
So why did you stop? How did you realize that you have a problem? Because it's not a common thing when, let's say, a drug addict or a junkie says enough is enough.
I was tired of feeling like crap. I was tired of feeling awful. I was tired of trying to find anything outside of me to feel better. My stomach issues had only gotten worse because I was, poisoning myself even more. And
You had this constant pain?
constant, which is also why I got into opiates, because that numbed my stomach
Mm.
pain, and then it numbed the anxiety and it numbed the depression, and it was almost like it took all of the things that I was carrying, numbed it, And then I felt like myself. And so that obviously only lasted so long, that feeling. But I was tired of feeling like crap. I was really tired of feeling like crap. And I had met my husband at 25, and he was not an addict. And I was embarrassed of, the lifestyle that I was living, and I was crumbling. I was no longer able to sustain myself looking like a normal individual. I was crumbling.
After how many days did you tell him
What do you mean?
that you struggle with addictions?
How many days did I tell him?
After how many dates?
Oh, after dates. That's a good question. I think he probably knew pretty early on that I was dabbling in stuff and the people I was around, but it was probably about 2, 3, 4 months where we both had come clean about all the things that we hadn't talked to each other about.
And he was totally fine with this?
No, I mean, he was not at all. He definitely was not a supporter in it whatsoever, but he understood.
I mean, he didn't leave you.
No. I mean, we've been together 14 years, so
But
now.
back then it was 2, 3 months. It's like,
Yeah.
bye.
Well, we broke up here and then got back together and then broke up and then got back together. So we were young, and I was a disaster, and he wasn't in the fire department yet, so he was trying to figure out his stuff. Um, so yeah, it was definitely turmoil. It was not a steady, healthy relationship to start.
So when you got to your doctor, psychiatrist, and you said you have this anxiety, this and that, and he just prescribed you pills, did he say for how long should you take those pills? When will you solve this problem? Like in a year or two? Any other work that you have to do, or just take pills?
Yeah, it was a year prescription, and after a year, I just told him that I needed more, and so he prescribed more.
So what would have happened if you have had said, I would like to solve the problem? Would he offer you some kind of a solution or drugs only?
I don't
As a
I
psychiatrist.
don't think that man was in any position to give. I mean, looking back and the type of energy he had, um, I don't think he was really looking to help people. I think it was just an easy, like, oh yeah, okay, just another one type of thing. Because there wasn't any deep questions asked about. I mean, if someone's dealing with anxiety and depression and these type of things, it's like, okay, well, let's get to the root cause. What was your childhood like? What is your environment like now? That's what I would ask. And I've never had any practitioner until later in life. Ask any of those questions. Was there abuse? Was there um, violence in the home? Was there addiction in the home? All of these are going to be an accumulation of the symptoms that I was experiencing.
He didn't ask any of these
No.
questions. So he's a psychiatrist. So psychiatrists ask those questions, or shrinks do?
Probably more shrinks do,
But you
depending.
never went to a shrink to
I
see a
had
shrink.
been to one, and she definitely helped me think outside the box more than I had ever thought before, because I think I was about that age, 20, 21, 22. Um, so yeah, I definitely got some benefit out of seeing a shrink who asked more questions. Yeah, the psychiatrist did not. I think they literally are just there to prescribe.
So you realize that with the shrink, you have to do some work to get this problem solved. That's why you switched to a psychiatrist and to basically pills. Easier.
It was easier. Yeah. It was easier just to take a pill than to do the work, because I wasn't given any tools on how to do the work, and I wasn't in a mental capacity to be able to do the work at that time. I was at the lowest of the low, and I was traumatized. Ever since I was a kid. So I was literally walking around a stress ball, traumatized, trying to protect myself in every situation, overreading every single person I came into to find out if you're going to harm me or not. On top of it, eating crappy. On top of it, a toxic work environment. On top of it, drinking alcohol every day. So I was not in a position to be like, let's find the root cause of this. I didn't even have the language. I didn't even have the mindset. It wasn't until literally my daughter lost her hair that I was like, I love you more than anything in the world. I didn't even love myself at that time enough to be like, let me find out what's going on with me. But I loved her. I loved her so much that I said, I'm going to find what is going on with you. And it wasn't until me finding what was going on with her, I realized there was a connection with me and that it was actually me that needed to do the deep work. And that's when I found Human Garage, and they gave me a whole new language. They gave me a whole new understanding of the symptoms I was experiencing. And they gave me a whole new perspective of life that I had never heard of before.
Like what? Share it, at least one or two. The perspective that's have changed your life.
Well, one of them is that we're creators of our own reality. It starts with your perception on life. It starts with how you're waking up feeling every day. How are you, if I'm, for instance, if I'm waking up uh not feeling great, because there's mornings I wake up and I don't feel great and I don't eat breakfast. I just drink a cup of coffee. Um Run out the door. I'm 10 minutes late to work. I'm super rushed, and then I'm rushing here and rushing there, and I don't have a healthy lunch. And by the end of the day, you're so depleted and so all these things. Well, I just created that whole entire day for myself, right? I didn't set myself up for success. I didn't have a healthy breakfast. I didn't give myself the proper hydration. I didn't give myself enough time in the morning to get to work on time. So if I had done those things, well, then I just created a completely different reality for my day. And all of that was up to me. That was 100% in my control. I didn't even realize that. I didn't even realize that, okay, instead of doing all the maybe rushing to clean the dishes, why don't you stop and go do a 10-minute meditation or a 10-minute workout and completely shift the mindset or completely release the stress to a degree that now you can go function and you can go be a healthier version of yourself. I never had heard the concept that you are the creator of your own reality. And it really is by a daily choice, a minute to minute choice on how you're taking care of yourself. So that was the biggest for me.
Yeah, so always being late is very stressful.
Very
Always late to do
stressful.
this, and that,
Mhm.
to work, to eat, to work out, to have some time with friends or family. Always late to live. The trauma that you've mentioned, that was from your childhood, that was physical or mental more?
Mental and sexual.
Okay. So let's say a person in the comment section is going to comment right now and say, I have the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
What would you say to her? How she or he should cope with that and solve this problem? Because going to a psychiatrist and just drinking pills, taking pills is not an option since it doesn't solve any problem.
Yeah. Well, first off, I mean, I think that anyone who's asking the questions should instantly feel so proud of themselves for even having a consciousness of wanting a shift, of wanting a change. I think that, I mean, I'm a huge promoter of Human Garage. Human Garage is doing such a wonderful job for people to really learn a foundation of health and how to properly take care of yourself. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, and it's not something that happens even in a week. It's literally a lifestyle. And so starting with baby steps, thinking of like I would just recommend anyone to enroll in the 28-day reset with Human Garage. If you're at the lowest of the low and you don't even know where to go, how to function, where do I go next? I'm overloaded. Go to Human Garage. Sign up for their 28-day reset.
How
And
expensive it is?
you can pay whatever you want to
Really?
do the program. So even if you can only afford $1, put $1. And they had all of their programs free for about 2 to 3 years, but that wasn't sustainable for them. So now they do it based on a donation. So you can pay what you can afford. That will completely change your life. In 28 days, you can reset your system. And so it will start teaching you how to be more present in your body just by doing the fascia maneuvers, which is 15 minutes a day through their program. It will start releasing the stress from your body, And when the stress from your body starts releasing, your mind starts clearing up. So you're now starting to think more clearly. You're starting to understand things on a different level than you did before. And your whole perception starts, and again, it doesn't happen overnight, but instead of being in this fight or flight, you're starting to realize the power within yourself and a grounding that most of us had never experienced before. And then I would recommend adding in diatomaceous earth and Irish sea moss to your diet daily. Hydration on a cellular level will absolutely help clearing your mind, starting to get things flowing, starting to get the stagnation moving. And I think just those two things alone will show dramatic shifts for people who are really struggling.
So this mental health crisis that we talked about here, especially here in California, have you ever done research? Is it only, let's say, North America, USA wise, or Europe is the same, or Australia, Asia? Well, obviously Africa is not because of many reasons.
For mental health,
Yes.
I have not done much research, but from what I have gathered from conversations, it sounds like here in the States is one of the worst. But I believe that everywhere people are struggling. I mean, you have places of war that are completely, I mean,
Yeah, but I mean those people that are literally on the streets that are insane.
yeah,
Like when you go to Venice Beach, you see those people that literally not in their own minds.
yeah.
Do you think that's because in America, doctors are having more benefits from prescribing something than they are in, let's say, Europe?
I don't really know how they run things in Europe when it comes to that, but I do know here in the States that we are not set up to help people, other than just giving them drugs, which is not going to help them, maybe for a short time, to help them get over the hump that they're in. But we are very pharmaceutical driven here in the States, to the point that you're seeing the effects of it.
Do you think that has changed, let's say, in the last 30 to 40 years, or this has always been a thing?
No, it's changed dramatically, especially even since COVID. It's gotten worse.
So obviously, so the first time I visited the States was 2018. We went to Los Angeles with my friend. We stayed at Venice Beach. There were a few, I don't want to say insane people, like a few homeless. But the next time I visited the US was 2022 after the COVID.
Yeah.
I was amazed. I want to say it's 10x, 10x just in few years. So people that that do not live right now in the States, they're from Europe or Asia or any other continent or a country, they have no idea that this country, the United States of America, has been holding other countries since COVID and after it, right?
Yeah.
It changed literally everything.
Changed everything.
From prices to people to their attitudes to crime to homelessness, everything.
The apathy.
Apathy.
It's crazy. People have no compassion anymore. I feel like. I mean, I have you heard of the Nextdoor app? There's an app that you can have that's just the Nextdoor, like people around you in your zip code, so to speak. And so I've gone on there a lot just to, sell stuff or promote certain things. And I was really big into helping the homeless in our neighborhood for a while, just making them food bags and stuff like that. And I was putting it out there, like, hey, let's, as a community, is there something that we can do? And I got more hate messages than I did of people who wanting to help. 99% of them were hate messages about why would you help that homeless person? They're a waste of space. They need to get a job.
Waste of space.
Oh,
A
yeah.
human being.
Oh, yeah. It was insane. I literally got off the app for a year because I was so disheartened. Because after my daughter was born, it was 2020. She was born July 2020. And so within that year, I mean, people weren't able to get formula. They weren't able to get diapers. They weren't able to get food. I mean, there was so many people that were hurting. And so I started helping two single moms that had 4 children who had come from abuse. And
4 children combined?
four
Or
children
each?
combined. So two separate moms. One actually had 5 kids. The other one had 4 kids. They didn't even know each other. And I started helping them with food, shoes for the kids. I mean, these women literally couldn't even afford meals for their children. And so I did a whole campaign on Nextdoor of like, who can help donate? Just drop it off at my house, canned foods, old shoes, clothes, anything. And I got a great outreach for support, but it was still shocking with how many people put hate messages on helping these single moms. I didn't even want to put the ethnicity of who they because that alone,
No
I
one
did that
cares.
one time, and it's like, oh, well, if they're this race or they're this race, we're not helping them. They're this, they're that. And it's just like, that is insane. This is a single mom. Like, who cares
Who
how she
cares?
got there? Who cares? She needs help, and these children need help. And why would we not? We're in a very there's a lot of money in the area that I live in. Why would you not give? Instead, it's advice, unwanted advice of like, well, tell her she needs to do this. And it's like, I wasn't asking that. Like, so that was very eye-opening to me. That is what started. And that was 2021. And here we are 4 years
And
later.
this area, San Diego area, I want to say is one of the most liberal areas in the whole California. Very anti-racist on paper, right?
Yeah.
Which is not. Very socialist, no socialism. Let's put some things together. Nope. And share. Nope.
It is I mean, there's some phenomenal organizations that are doing that. So I don't want to say that it's not happening, but the majority of the people know. I feel like people are selfish. There's no compassion. People are so bombarded with their own stress, social media, numbing out on the TV, numbing out to this, that they're not even able to have compassion for their neighbor, despite why they got there.
So a lot of people have been woken up or woke up since 2020, especially 2021, right?
Yeah.
But do you think if they ever pull this off once again, will people fall for this? Let's say COVID 2.0 in a month,
Yeah.
they will fall for this?
The majority of people will. I mean, I feel like you can see that with what's happening with the Charlie Kirk situation.
Yeah, there are people that are literally celebrating his death. Even if you hated his ideology or him as a human being,
Yeah.
but you've been celebrating?
Yeah. I mean, that was a huge, huge eye opener to what's going on with after his assassination.
And there are a lot of lies saying he was racist, he was this, stoning gays, he was promoting this. Nope.
It's
It's
crazy.
a lie.
It's crazy how many people only think too that, oh, he was just going to campuses and picking fights with people. That's all he did.
I haven't seen any fights. I watched a lot of content of his. He was having these amazing debates. I was learning a lot of
He was
from him.
questioning the narrative.
Yeah.
And he was opening up a consciousness within young people that are not happening in our schools, that are not happening out day to day. And he was so much bigger than just going to the campuses. And that was a part of what he was doing. But I mean, he was doing some incredible work.
Oh, I believe if not Charlie Kirk, Trump wouldn't have won in 2024. There is no way. He made a huge difference.
He made a huge difference. And there's still people, Candace Owens and James O'Keefe, and who are still fighting the fight, but are they going to be silenced too?
Do you think that they fight? So there is a difference between you sitting in front of the camera and you sitting in front of thousands of students a few times, at least a few times a week across the states and having these discussions.
Yeah.
There is a huge difference in that. I can be a hero in front of camera because I'm scripted.
Yeah.
But once you go outside and you have these conversations just like Charlie did,
Yeah.
there is no script.
Yeah.
You have no idea what this person is going to bring up, and you have to defend your idea.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. We've seen a few times when Charlie was pushed big time.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that Candace or James O'Keefe are warriors in the same battlefield. These are just different battlefields. That's it.
Different battlefields, correct.
So in California, I still see some people once in a while, they drive by themselves with masks on.
Yeah.
So do you think California has more problems than other states, and California would have fallen one more time more drastically than the other states? Or we have Californians have learned something from this, and let's say majority of people would have said right now, "Now we're good, no mask, no more," because it doesn't help. Because you live here for almost 40 years, you know California.
Yeah. I don't have much hope, to be honest. I mean, that's just real talk. I don't. I know the people who are still running outside with masks on is quite shocking. Or, yeah, driving alone with masks on. Or even sending my kid goes to a nature school, and one of the parents sent their child, who's probably 4 or 5, with a mask on to nature school the other day. And I was just like, that is just
Insane.
insanity. Like, what? I really want to know that mindset, because how do you, like, anyways. Um, I really don't think people are well. I think the majority of the people, wherever you go in the States, people are not well for numerous reasons, not just one. But no, I don't think. I think maybe certain people have learned more of a voice. And like for myself, I didn't have a voice back in 2020. I knew my instincts and I knew what I wasn't going to do. And I thought I was pretty spot on with the corruption, but I didn't have a voice. I wasn't on social media, saying how I felt and things like that. Give it to today, and now I'm here, speaking on a large platform and using my voice. And so I think there's a lot more people who are doing that, because there's a lot more people who were sick and tired of being sick and tired, that they are waking up to healing their body. I mean, just Human Garage alone has reached millions of people. They're on track to be helping 1 billion people, I think, by next year. And just that alone is opening up a state of consciousness where people are becoming empowered and learning to heal themselves outside of the system. So I do think there's hope, but we are for sure the minority.
But in regard to COVID, let's say, so people don't remember those dancing nurses? What was that? It's like they worked 24/7, depleted out of no energy at all, but they managed to learn the dance and dance in front of camera. And it wasn't just one hospital in the US, it was all around the globe. Dancing nurses.
Yeah.
What about those bags, especially in New York, the ships for dead bodies?
Yeah.
Who were all those people that quote unquote died?
Yeah.
Containers for dead bodies?
Yeah.
What was all about? That was 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And you want to tell me that we're about to fall in for this once again if they try to pull this off?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's still people who are still getting the what do you call it? There's still getting the COVID shots, but they're, what is it called after you get the main one, then yours?
Oh,
I that word.
yes.
The booster.
The booster. 6th, 7th,
Oh
8th
yeah. I mean,
booster.
I have family members that are still like, "Oh, got my booster the other day." And it's just like, "Oh my Lord." Okay,
Why?
exactly. Please tell me why. You never can be too careful. Along with my flu shot.
What's a nature school? You homeschool. And you go with your kids to go to nature school.
Yep. So it's a combination. We do Kid Wings Nature School in San Diego. They've been around for about 7 years. So she does that 3 days a week for about 4 to 5 hours. They have a whole curriculum that they teach them. They just keep them outside. So she gets to go to different parks each day. They have a whole list of parks that they pick and give you a layout for the month of where they'll be at. And so on Friday, what's today? Actually, yesterday she was at Mission Point, so Mission Bay,
Amazing
and
place, guys. If you ever visit California and San Diego, go to Mission Point.
it was beautiful. And that was her school for the day. And they're learning about the weather, and they're learning about the seasons, and they're learning her days of the week. And she's 5, so she's still very, early in the learning stages, but
Lucky
they're learning.
bastards.
Exactly.
I remember my school,
Oh, I bet.
6 hours a day.
Yeah, same. Inside, you don't go out. And yeah, I had a hard time in school for that reason. I tell her all the time, honey, you have no idea how good you have it. Why do I have to go to school, Mom? And I'm like, trust me, you have the best situation. Um, but yeah, so she learns in nature. And so she's still with tons of kids. I mean, there's probably about 30 kids or so, but they split them up in groups. So they have 3 teachers, and each of them have a teacher assistant. And then they teach and they learn, and then they go out into the bay and they're swimming for a couple hours. And then,
Swim?
oh, yeah, I mean, she had the best day the other day. Not only learning, and they also are teaching them about boundaries, and they teach them about saying no and listening to your, fellow students. And they make songs about boundaries. And I mean, all these things I never learned in school. I never even knew. I literally just learned what boundaries were this year. And my husband taught me. Like, I never knew what boundaries were. And here she is learning that at school, and it just makes me so happy. So she goes to a nature school 3 days a week, and then we also use Pacific Coast Academy, which is a homeschool program. And she's in kindergarten, so she just started this year. So we still have a teacher. We meet with her every 4 weeks. We turn in all our paperwork and all the curriculum that she's supposed to have, the social studies, the language arts, the math. And then they provide you with different vendors that are approved for them, because they give you a little bit of funding to help purchase these things. And so there's different vendors that I can send her to also have her learn and go with the teacher. And um,
So enrolling to a homeschool program costs up to $1,000 a year?
nope, it was completely free. The nature school we have to pay for, which, yes, depending how many days a week you're going for. She goes 3 days a week, so it's about $800 a month for us. The homeschooling is completely free. But they give us, if you choose to use the vendors, then yes, you'll have to pay for those programs. They give you about anywhere from $2,000 to $3,500 for the year, so that you can purchase your books, you can purchase, the journals, you can send them to a curriculum that you want them to. But no, the homeschool doesn't cost anything. So if I wanted to just do it completely by myself, just get the books and then she's just at home, you're just paying for the books, which they will provide for you.
You're not planning on them attending a regular school at all?
No,
Do you think they're gonna go to a college?
I hope so. I hope so. I believe in education, absolutely. I'm just not vaccinating my kids, and there's no other options if I stay in California. I won't give my daughter any more injections. My son's never been vaccinated, and there's literally no other options for me. So as they get older, they're allowed to make those choices for themselves, and I'm absolutely a promoter in education.
So you said that, and in your bios it says you have healed a lot of. It says anxiety, depression, panic attacks, hormonal issues, stomach issues, fatigue, etc. What was the hardest for you to get rid of?
I'm still healing. I still am experiencing fibromyalgia symptoms. I still wake up daily with extreme fatigue. Um,
What do you think is the cause of this? Because I believe a lot of people feel the same way. Just they go to sleep, they sleep, let's say 6, 7, 8 hours, and they wake up fatigued.
Feeling awful. Yeah. I mean, even with all the things that I do, 60% of the time I wake up and I feel like crap when I wake up, and I'm sleeping decent at night. I think it's a combination of multiple things. I think for myself personally, it was years and years and years of numbing, not being able to release and express the emotional trauma that I had underwent. And I think it was years and years of not taking care of myself. So either through food, addiction, not properly nourishing myself. So I didn't have a strong foundation. And I think that because your body doesn't just heal overnight, it's in layers and it's constantly stripping things away. I think that my body is still releasing a lot of the symptoms that I've carried my entire life. And I just didn't even realize I was having all these symptoms until I became so conscious and I wasn't numbing out on Netflix every night or having that glass of wine before bed or, and again, I'm not saying those are horrible things to do, but when they're not in balance, all you're doing is just numbing yourself. And so I think that that is why I'm still experiencing a lot of the symptoms. So what I do is when I wake up and I'm feeling crappy, I make sure I instantly am hydrating, drinking, taking my Irish sea moss, the diatomaceous earth. I'm eating a solid breakfast, high protein, very low sugar, very low carb, if any, no coffee to start. And I'm doing fascia maneuvers. I wake up almost every morning and I do fascia maneuvers anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. And just by doing that practice, it releases the tension and the aches and the pains and the stress that I'm feeling within my body. And I mean, just with that alone, if I give myself 20 to 30 minutes after waking up and doing these practices, I feel, 50 to 60% better.
How about cold showers or cold plunges? Have you ever tried those?
I have, yeah. Um, I think the time and a place, absolutely. They have benefited me and then they have not benefited me. For women, I think it's really, I think for everybody, it's important to make sure that your nervous system's not on fight or flight when you're doing these types of modalities. Um, but they can absolutely be beneficial, sure. There's days that I am feeling up to it and I'll take a cold shower and it will instantly shift my mood. Getting in a sauna, like I use the Therasage red light infrared sauna. That is also a game changer to really heat up your muscles, and then to stretch and do fascia maneuvers in there really opens things up.
Helps.
And even sometimes just a meditation, a lot of times the pain that we're feeling in our body is just the emotional pain that we're feeling that we haven't addressed. And so
So this childhood trauma, emotional trauma is more for females or males too?
it's males too. I think there's more men struggling than we even realize.
Mhm.
I think that more men are thankfully waking up to the fact of that, but men are taught not to talk about it. Men are taught, we're all taught not to talk about it, but especially men, you suck it up. You don't cry. You're fine. You be that strong, don't be weak. And I think that men, especially men who come to my workshops, are experiencing loads of trauma. I think sexual abuse is extremely high with men and it's not talked.
Sexual abuse.
Yes.
You mean rape?
I think incest. I think rape. I think either from a family member. I think sexual abuse is more common than anybody even realizes.
What the fuck is wrong with this society?
It is
Yes.
literally generations of this stuff happening. The majority of people that I talk to, even who come to my workshop, I can now kind of pinpoint if someone has been abused just by the tension and stagnation in their body because I'm touching and feeling them and the symptoms that they're having. And I did a one-on-one session the other day, and in the middle of the session, I said, "How old were you when the abuse happened?" And she was just like, "How did you know?" I was like, "I can tell. I think it's happening more and more, or it's happened and people just haven't even, you're told not to talk about it. Shh, it didn't happen. No, that didn't happen. You're crazy." Or, you're silenced because of fear.
So you want to tell me you can meet a muscular, big guy and you will tell whether he was sexually abused, let's say in a conversation after 30 to 40 minutes?
Yes.
And it's a possibility.
Yes.
And he just hides it.
Hides it.
Doesn't want to talk about it because it's embarrassing?
Yes. It's embarrassing, especially if it happened by a male, especially if it happened by a family member. But it is, the problem is, like I said, bigger than I think anybody even realizes.
Okay, so let's say you have met your husband when you were 25, right?
25, yeah.
You were a mess, as you've told me. Let's say your husband is not a mess, but he doesn't cope with his emotions, right? He lets everything go. Would it help you? Or him being a strong person in your, let's say, connection between man and woman, he was the strong guy physically and mentally. That's why you succeeded healing up and getting off your addictions. What I mean by that, let's say women are more emotional, right? You let your emotions go. But if every time we as men will let our emotions go, it's going to be a mess in family. Isn't it true?
Yes, to a degree, yeah. So my husband was absolutely in that category of holding everything together. I'm fine. nothing bothers me. And so, yes, it gave me the room to heal myself in a way than having to deal with an erratic type of behavior. But as I started to heal myself, I realized that his behaviors of shoving, numbing out, or, ignoring was his way of coping with his issues. And then I realized that because of his coping mechanisms and my coping mechanisms, we didn't have a strong foundation on our relationship, and we actually didn't even have a strong relationship. And so this past year, because we were on the brink of either we're going to be together or we're not, we had to come together and realize that we had to completely rebuild. And that started with not only me calming my nervous system and healing myself, but also him calming his nervous system. And maybe it looks differently. He's not in the corner necessarily crying like I am, but we also experience very different traumas or experiences in life. And so it can be a tricky situation for sure, but I do believe that when you have the proper tools, such as fascia maneuvers, releasing the stress, and you have a foundation of at least consciousness, it doesn't have to be such erratic type healing um, for the home.
So you're saying that men tend to eat their emotions and to hide them. So you're saying that, let's say, your crying husband would be okay. Let's bring back 2020. All the shit that happens, right? Stressful situations, mandates, mass mandates, vaccine mandates, right? Havoc across the globe, especially here in California. You're stressed out. You don't know what to do. And if your husband would copy and paste the same attitude as you did, would it be beneficial or worse for you?
I think it fuels the fire of chaos. So if you're both in an emotionally unstable place and you both don't have the proper tools, then it's going to cause more havoc, more chaos, more disruption. But I think that if you're both in a place of conscious healing and both having the tools, whether they're different or the same, I think that you both absolutely can heal at the same
No,
time.
but at that time, at the time of stress,
Yeah.
him panicking would help you
No.
at all.
No.
That's why we have to eat our emotions. You women generally do not care how do we feel like at the stressful situations, because if we let loose our emotions, he's not gonna like it. We both freak out.
Yeah.
Everything is bad. We're gonna die. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go bankrupt. We're gonna split. We're gonna lose children. Our children. We're gonna lose our health. This, and that.
Sure.
So this is the way we handle these stressful situations.
There's a different type of grounding that women need for sure. And if we don't feel that the man is stable and, then yes, it will help. It will not make us feel stable. I hear what you're saying.
But we cope stress differently. We go to the gym. We go with our buddies. We go on our own to, let's say, to the forest somewhere just to listen to the music, listen to the podcast, or just to be with ourselves. That's how we cope with emotions and stress. We
Some
don't.
do, yeah. The majority, I think, of people use other things, video games, pornography, TV, and even alcohol and drugs and
But
food.
this shit doesn't help. And the
No.
gym helps. Or going outside for an hour, it helps.
Yeah.
Going on the hike, especially here in California,
Yeah.
on your own. Maybe being afraid of meeting a mountain lion. This thing helps.
Yeah.
Drugs do not help. Pornography doesn't help.
No.
Where is Jesus in your life?
Well, I'm still healing my relationship. I grew up in a very toxic relationship when it came to God and religion, and so that was
Can you give me at least one example? Because I've met a few Jehovah Witnesses that were great people, but I don't know what's happening inside their home.
mhm. I was raised to have a lot of fear of God, of Jesus, that the world was going to come to an end. So if you're not a believer, if you're not, living according to his way, then you will be killed at Armageddon. They're very big on Armageddon coming and then the earth being restored to a paradise. And so I constantly lived in a state of fear rather than a state of connection and love. And I think that I was also told at such an early age that God was protecting me when I was not being protected. I believe that in my situation, religion was used as a cop out for my parents not to be conscious in my life. God's protecting you. So it's like they can continue on with their their beliefs and not have to really focus on me. So
Did you go to church? It's not church, but house of worships, right?
they call it
Jehovah
Kingdom
Witness.
Hall.
Kingdom Hall, yeah, excuse me.
hmm So my relationship with God was very unhealthy for a really long time. It wasn't until the last couple years that I have been regaining my relationship and learning it in a new way, other than what other people are saying or what a church is saying, but just my own internal relationship. And that has been a really beautiful process.
Do you raise your children religious?
They religious or
In a good way, religious. I mean, believers of Christ.
they are learning. Yes, they are learning.
What about your husband? Was he a follower of Christ when you met him?
He is not a believer
Till this moment.
to this moment.
Okay.
Yeah, he's more of an atheist type believer. Um, but he supports me in all that I do and how I believe. We both seem to be opposites on everything that we do in life, so we've accepted that. But the way I really teach my kids is this is how mommy believes. Certain people are going to believe and some people are not. And so this is where you really have to start learning for yourself. And so yeah, we learn to talk to God, we learn to pray, to listen to our intuition, and I'm really teaching them that it's them who has to make the decision. I'm not going to be forcing anything on them. I'm not going to be telling them this is the way. I definitely am more of a person that it's going to have to be your decision based on how you're feeling and your beliefs on that. But yes, they know that I'm a believer.
So, have we left anything on the table? Do you want to talk about anything else? Or we have touched everything you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who's in San Diego, I do workshops once a month at Dr. Stan Holmes' chiropractor office, Future Generations, and it's a free workshop. So I'm teaching you how to do fascia maneuvers and to release stress. I do one-on-one sessions to help really dig into a deeper level of releasing trauma and to help guide people into a healthier lifestyle. Um, but yeah, other than that, I really just want to encourage people to um, tap into how powerful they are and how miraculous our bodies are, and they're meant to heal given the proper environment, and that it doesn't have to be a helpless situation that so many people are living in.
You see, so the problem with this, with me, is let's say every time I go to, let's say, Ralph's, right? And I see all those products on the shelves, I acknowledge that like 95% of them are crap, literally crap.
Yeah.
So it's harder to find some healthy products
Yeah.
than the vice versa.
Yeah.
And then just like you've mentioned, all the, let's say, dish soap, shampoos, all that, colognes, fragrance, candles with scent, everything is poisoning us. And we started learning this, I want to say, since 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
I just wonder how much we don't know.
Yeah.
Because everything is poisoning us.
Yeah.
Everything from cell phone to the screens. You're wearing these yellow glasses to everything that we eat, everything that we can control and we can't control. Let's say all those new networks. We can't even go. We've been to Big Bear Lake 2 months ago. It's an incredible coverage of 5G.
Yeah.
You can't even go outside without having exposed to some kind of a network,
Yeah.
to a signal.
Yeah. You're never going to get rid of all the toxins. You're never going to get rid of the bombarding that's happening to us. And so that's why I promote so much of your environment. So your home, really lowering that toxic load in your home. Some great companies that we use are Truly Free. They have a wonderful laundry detergent, dish soap, toxic free. doTERRA has a great line, primarily pure for women who want to use the creams or the dry shampoo, the lotions. There's some phenomenal companies out there, but it does take research, and it really takes learning how to read the food labels. Most of these food stores out here nowadays promote that they're healthy, and they're not. Like Trader Joe's, not healthy. They barely have any healthy foods in their store, and so it's unfortunate because it is limited based on the area that you're living in. We have Jimbo's that is near us, and I shop there primarily.
Jimbo's, never heard of it.
Yeah, Jimbos.
Mm-hmm.
They are a great store that really limits what they allow in there. But it's hard. It is not an easy thing, and it's more expensive. I mean, we spend thousands of dollars more every month by eating clean, by not purchasing the toxic stuff. And it's not easy. It's not. And it can be so overwhelming to look at that and you're like, there's no hope. That's how I felt when I first started. It's like there's no hope. We're here. Everything's coming at us, and that's why it's really really baby steps. If it's a lifestyle that you want to change, you got to give yourself at least a 5-year plan. Start with 1 year and just say, in this year, I'm going to change our food. I'm going to start buying healthier. Give yourself the year. It's not going to be perfect. It's still not. My kids go to a birthday party and I can't control what's there. Do I tell them they can't have it? I don't, but I limit it. But I can control what's coming into my house. Or even if you just want to lower the toxic load, start looking for a different laundry detergent. Start looking for a different dishwasher, soap. Little things, because just the impact that you can make with those little things, you'll start really realizing that you're starting to feel better because you're being poisoned out there. But if you cannot be poisoned in your home, you're making drastic shifts. And then when you start feeling stronger, when you're lowering that toxic load, you're releasing that stress, you're starting to feel stronger. So it gives you more strength to continue on and to ultimately fight the battle. I mean, I really believe that there's a war going on our society here. I really believe that there is an agenda to keep us quiet, to keep us numbed out, to keep us just going with the flock. I really think that they are trying to disempower people, and I really feel that the biggest FU, I guess, to the system is to take care of yourself. To take care of yourself, take care of your kids so that you don't need these establishments. I'm not saying I don't have medical insurance. I can still go to the doctor if I need to, or if my child, there's an emergency. I believe in emergency medicine. My husband's a first responder, and it absolutely saves lives. But if I can handle an ear infection or a cough or a cold or a flu and not take them to the doctor, right there, I'm winning. So again, it's just really educating yourself on what can I do to support the body. It's just a matter of supporting our body.
Yeah, but the more you learn, let's say shampoo, right? Then cosmetics, right? Makeup, nail polish, everything. I'm all tatted up under my shirt.
Yeah.
But I started doing this in 2007. I would have never done that right now. Never. I remember myself getting, let's say, not a big tattoo on my arm or my back, and then coming back home with the fever.
Yeah.
You're having this fever relief pills.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because your immune system is basically fighting this stuff that you're putting under your skin. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, how should I remove it? Can I remove this amount of tattoos, this amount of ink with aluminum, mercury? It's horrendous.
You absolutely can help your body. So I'm also tatted up on my right side. And it's true, I have a lot of blockages because of the tattoos. But when you hydrate on a cellular level, you're starting to allow things to flow. When you start doing the fascia work, so I'm constantly doing fascia work on my tattoos, opening up the area because it's just stuck tissue. That's all it is. things start flowing. Because I started having severe pain in my right arm after one of my tattoos on my chest. I instantly knew. I was like, oh my gosh, did that hit a lymphatic something? Did it
Oh,
hit? Because I have had so much pain right here. And honestly, it's just been through working the area, opening it up, y things are flowing. So you absolutely can still allow your body to detoxify given the right environment.
have you ever thought of removing those?
No,
Never?
I love them.
Really?
Yeah. I want more, to be honest. But I'm definitely taking my time, but I'm probably still gonna get a couple.
Really?
Yeah,
Even you know this is
even
toxic.
though I know. Yep.
That's addiction.
Yeah, but I have the tools to help my body with the poison that I'm choosing to put in it. We all we
Interesting.
all pick we all pick our things. I know it's only probably a couple more that I'll do, but I have held off for over a year because I definitely have felt the effects of the tattoos. So
The tattoos are literally addictive. I mean, I made my first tattoo 2007 on my back.
mhm.
Since then, almost every 2 years, this, and that.
No.
It's addictive.
Yeah, I never felt addictive to it. I guess
But you always want more.
yeah. I think a lot of it too was because I wanted tattoos at a younger age, but it was so deemed as awful. So it wasn't until I really started becoming my own and learning what I liked and what I was allowed to do that I was like, I'm gonna get tattoos. I didn't get a tattoo until after I had my daughter.
Oh, really?
They're all pretty fresh.
I was 18. I wanted to be cool. I thought this is cool. Now I think what's cool is to be fit and without any tattoos. When you can run a polo, a shirt,
Yeah.
especially when especially when you do tattoos that are popular at that time period of time. I had this tribal in 2007. It's so embarrassing. I'm trying to covering it up, but it's just literally embarrassing.
Yeah.
Guys,
You regret
guys,
all of your tattoos?
all of them.
All of them?
All of them. Most of them I regret because of they're embarrassing to me right now because the season has passed, the time flew and etc. But most of them is because of the toxicity because I still don't know what's in the ink
Yeah.
and it's under my skin 24/7
Yeah.
and I'm thinking of removing, but I'm not sure whether these lasers that remove they're safe,
That's
right?
a whole nother trauma that you're causing to the body to
Correct.
remove them. Yeah.
Because it's gonna your body has to flush it, right? So it's
Just start doing fascia maneuvers. Start doing fascia maneuvers. You will notice that everything starts opening up, things start unlocking.
I don't feel anything. I mean, I always have felt this fever after the session, but after that I have never had any problems with numbness or pain, nothing. It just bothers me that I know it's under my skin, that it's in my body,
Yeah.
in my system, and it looks awful. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all that bothers me. I wish I had like time travel and please don't
Yeah.
like slap myself into the cheek, the right, the left cheek. Don't do it. It's not cool. You're not gonna be successful by just doing tattoos. You're an idiot. Ashley, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm very happy that your kids and you and your husband are okay right now, especially your kids, because the story that you told me that your 1-year-old couldn't sleep and he was crying and you barely could touch his head. I can only imagine how kind of a stressful situation that was for you and your family.
Yeah.
It's like insane. Anything can happen to me or let's say to my wife, but if that's my kids,
Yeah.
if his finger aches, I'm like, there's something wrong. I gotta do something. It's your kids. It's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you got rid of the problems that you had, and God bless you, and God bless you for sharing your stories, and God bless you for doing the stuff that you do in San Diego. Do you do it online?
I haven't done it online yet, but that will be in the future.
Next step.
Yeah.
So guys and gals, all the links are going to be in the description below, and thank you for coming. God bless.
Thank you.